So one of the things that we do know that is in the new laws that I think is a big impact, I looked at it as the biggest money grab that I've ever seen in my 33 years in this business from Congress, and that was the 10-year rule on inherited IRAs. Why don't you talk a little bit about that, Ed? Because to me, I think here's why I think it's a money grab. Because if you think about who inherits money, it's obviously the children. Sometimes it's the grandchildren, but the children that are inheriting money are in their 50s or 60s and are in their peak earning years. So they're already at a super high tax rate. Now they're going to be forced to take all the money out of their mom and dad's IRAs when they're in their top tax brackets. It's crazy.
Which means, right. It's all bunched into a 10-year period at their probably, I agree, their highest earning years. So it behooves most people to stop doing what you're doing. IRAs are not a good wealth transfer vehicle anymore. That's what Congress did. Let's just go back and talk about the stretch IRA. For people who don't know, it's a made-up term. It's not a real thing. It's just a term we used over many years, over decades, to describe the ability before the Secure Act to name a beneficiary like a grandchild. And if you name them, say the younger they are, the more years they could go out and stretch or extend distributions over their lifetime. So to take it to the extreme, a 2-year-old could have gone out 80 years. So imagine that deferral building up and building up. What a legacy for generations. Well, Congress in the Secure Act, and a little bit about the Secure Act. In my 40 years of studying tax law, I've seen everything, but there's always been one constant. Whenever Congress names a tax law, you can almost always bet that whatever they name it, it will do exactly the opposite.
Right. It says
my favorite one is the Deficit Reduction Act. That was a good one. Look at the deficit now.
Secure stands hold on. Secure stands for setting every congressman up for a retirement enhancement, right?
Yeah, no, it means you're not secure. When you see a tax bill called Secure Act, hold on to your wallets. They're coming for you, and that's exactly what they did. So Congress believed in the Secure Act because they needed revenue, as usual, because of all their spending and everything else. They said, you know what, we're going to take a new tack. We believe retirement accounts like IRAs and 401ks should only be for retirement, not as a wealth transfer or estate planning vehicle to move those funds to your children and grandchildren. So we're going to downgrade them as a wealth transfer vehicle by ending the stretch IRA and replacing it with a 10-year rule. And the 10-year rule says after you die, for non-spouse beneficiaries, spouses are exempt. After you die, your children or grandchildren have 10 years, as you said, Dean, to 10 years to empty that account. Even if it's a Roth, they have 10 years to empty that account, and that's the end of it. So it accelerates all the tax into the 10 years. So what does that tell you? IRAs are not worth it anymore if the point is to leave more to your children and grandchildren or other heirs. And I would tell people, look at the signs. If you're still in the phase where you're working and contributing, it's probably a good move to talk to your advisor and say, maybe I'll switch from my 401k to my Roth 401k at work. So I don't keep building up this eventual tax bill. Or maybe I'll start contributing to a Roth rather than an IRA. Start building up in tax-free territory, because that will be worth more money when you'll need it most in retirement.
Starting your route to retirement.